Man, things got hairy out in Raytown this week. Holy jeez. Fox 4 reporting here yesterday. A Raytown educator is out of a job less than 12 hours after a viral video appears to show her hitting a student before body slamming said student to the ground. The district saying as of last night, the student was uninjured. But the superintendent wasted no time handing out the pink slip to the teacher. Fox 4 learned last night that the teacher is now under criminal investigation. So Fox 4 did not have the permission to show the video. So I have not seen the video anywhere. I don't know if anybody else in town has shown the video, but Fox 4 led the way on the story last night. So I don't think anybody else has shown the video of the student getting body slammed by a teacher and then getting fired this week. Of course, summer classes are going on, and let's be honest, if you're a kid and you're doing summer classes, you're not the cream of the crop, okay? That's just a reality. But obviously, this has caused quite a stir. Raytown was in its last couple of days of summer classes. They were set to end here this week, and obviously then this took place. So here's what also happened. This comes from Fox 4. A student who was not comfortable going on camera but was in the bathroom at the time of the incident says it started after a group of girls in the restroom were told they needed to leave. The young ladies told Fox 4 that some of the students did not leave. The teacher then took a picture of the students, and that's when things escalated. The student knocked the teacher's phone out of her hand and was then attacked. So basically, you got, this is all women, by the way. Female teacher, obviously females in the women's room. I mean, although nowadays you don't know, but, we'll just assume for this conversation,
Sure, yeah.
It's all biological women involved in this whole deal. So this happens, and basically teacher says, hey, get out of the bathroom. Some of them don't. She snaps a photo, theoretically to then, use this as evidence to go to the superintendent, the principal, whoever, and say these kids are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's when the student knocks the phone out of the teacher's hands. And then, of course, the teacher responds with some kind of a body slam. So it's all women involved here. And while I don't think you can have somebody in the district who is body slamming students, like I understand that, I also am not looking at the story and saying, the poor kid. Boy, it's all poor. Oh, that kid, I'll tell you. Oh, man. No, there's no damn respect anymore. That is always a common theme in stories like this, John. There is just no respect anymore. And we've heard from teachers and bus drivers on this show who will tell you the exact same thing. They feel like the respect level is just fallen off a cliff the last few years.
Yeah, this story was a tipping point in my mind, and I was trying to figure out what I objected to. So what you get then, we have an incident, then the superintendent rushes out, well, this is not our community standards, and we won't have this. I have a problem with that now on two different levels. I just feel like there's been multiple incidents, and I'm not talking about the ones that involve sexual improprieties with teachers, different things, guns, scuffles. The instigator has no fear. They're pushing buttons.
Yep.
The kid that brought a gun to school, right? I guess he didn't think he was going to be in trouble, right? We had a fight at Shawnee Mission East, and people pushing buttons, and so they think they can just say stuff. So until there's actually a zero tolerance for all involved, I'm not buying this, this isn't our thing. It's just CYA for the principal or the superintendent or whoever put it out. They know damn good and well what these teachers are up against out there, and yet they throw them under the bus when they start this, it's not us, not our standard.
In many respects, isn't this exactly what we're seeing in places like Kansas City and major American cities?
It feels the same, so it's societal.
The same
we
thing.
Can't say it's just education
or
anything, right?
It's societal.
But it spills over.
Yeah.
And so instigators think they can mouth off and push buttons or do whatever with no fear of retribution until we get zero tolerance for this crap. Then maybe we will get some community standards.
It's time to start cracking the whip, whether it's in schools, whether it's in law enforcement. Human beings naturally, we want to have guardrails, right? We want to be told this is acceptable, this is not acceptable, especially when you're talking about young, impressionable kids. It's important to have that. And if we don't have it, and if we just kind of, let kids run the show, it kind of ties back to Rosie O'Donnell. Oh, they're kids. They're 10 years old. They know what they're doing anyway. It's like, no, they don't. They need to be told what's acceptable. They need to be told what's not. And there needs to be consequences, just like in your own household. If you tell your kid, do it again, you're going to timeout. You're going to timeout. Trust me, I've tried this. And then you don't send them to timeout.
Yeah.
Guess what? They ain't going to trust you and believe anything that you say.
Well, to your point, in the American sense, I don't know if we want to have guardrails. We just want to know what they are so that we can plan and adjust accordingly, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
On the text line, 913-408-7957. Pete, I think we need more body slamming teachers, not fewer. Okay. Well, here's the thing, though. Those of us who are parents who, get a kick out of something like that, we're not the problem. I'll leave it at that, okay?
Yeah.
When my girls start school, if and when they're out of line, I'm going to have no problem. Heck, they've had that in pre-K. I'm like, listen, if they're acting inappropriately, please tell them. I have no problem with you enforcing rules with my kids. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't want you body slamming them necessarily, but, I get the point. I get the joke. We are living in a culture now where everybody is able to claim, and it's popular to claim, victim status. Right? Everybody wants to be a victim. It's how you become part of the club. It's how you become part of the in crowd. So God forbid you do something out of line. Your kid does something out of line. I feel like more than ever, people say, oh, no, it wasn't his fault. Not my fault. That's always been the case in some capacity, but it feels like now it's gotten worse than ever before. 913-408-7957. A lot of texters wanting to bring back the old wooden paddle. I
got it.
Yep.
3 different times.
Yep. 913-408-7957. Let's go to Kansas City. Jonathan is there. What's up, Jonathan?
How you doing, Pete?
Well, man, what's going on?
So obviously, people got a million YouTube channels out there now, lots of different topics to look at. One of the more interesting topics, and I've seen it really pop up in the last year, which makes me think, YouTube, it follows trends. So it must be popping up because it's trending. One of the common channels I see is a lot of educators, many of them former educators. They get into long-form podcasts, sometimes multiple podcasts, like the experience they had teaching and why they left it with a lot of them. And a little bit of it is the money, but a lot more of the time they're talking about the misbehavior of kids, misbehavior of parents, the fact that administration never backs them up, and the fact that, if you actually push back and say, hey, why don't we have a better system where we have some order and we have students actually learning, you will get attacked from the administration and from the parents if you actually want to take it seriously. So then there's not really an incentive to do a good job. And then at the end of the day, they don't pay you much, and they just get into it. And a lot of them, they're very passionate people, and it's like that is so sad that we're just losing passionate people like that, which means all you have left are the teachers who just don't care.
Yeah, who don't care. Thank you, Jonathan, and who want to be glorified babysitters, and that's not what it's supposed to be. Right? It's not. I mean, you want, and that's where I feel like the disconnect continues to grow between the teachers in the classrooms and the administration, which is, mostly made up of folks who are just lifelong bureaucrats looking to live off the taxpayer dole, who aren't really doing a lot in terms of furthering kids' futures. They're making a lot more money. They're not doing nearly as much work. And they're not dealing with the consequences of the day-to-day of having these kids in the classrooms. They're just not dealing with it. And I think COVID, just expedited this trend. It's the same reason you can't get bus drivers. We've had bus drivers call this show and say, I can't control any of these kids anymore. Why am I going to do this? 913-408-7957. We're going to get to more of your calls on this. Parents, grandparents, we'll hear from you. 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio. Good work there by Bill O'Reilly. Not sure where the Tunisians stand exactly on the Trump-Biden thing, but either way, Bill's going to be on the show Friday morning at 8:30 to recap the big debate coming up tomorrow night. 8 o'clock, it will air right here on 95.7 FM, KCMO, and streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. So Raytown, story goes pretty viral last night after a female teacher, body slammed a female student in the bathroom after the teacher walked in this week. They're doing summer classes and says, hey, you're congregating in the bathroom. Get out of here. Some of the kids leave, some don't. The teacher takes a photo of the kids who don't leave. One of the students slaps the hand, whacks the camera out of the hand of the teacher. And the teacher, according to, the reports and the school itself, then went on to body slam that student to the ground. The student is said to be okay and uninjured, but that's where things stand right now. So why is that happening? What needs to be done about it? It's just a trend that has continued, it seems like, culturally across the board. 913-408-7957. Let's go to Wes. He's in Kansas City. Wes, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, good morning. Pete, I'm just a simple man. I'm not a genius. But I think good Lord gives us common sense. But I think this is all relevant of a much larger issue, not only within our nation, but around the world. It seems like I can't put my finger on it, but this all can't be coincidental that it's like this everywhere. It just seems like, I don't know where to put it, but something is not right with the whole situation. And honestly, you've got about the only radio platform that's even addressing it.
Well, here's the thing. I'm sure some others will address it, but they're not going to say what needs to be said, which is that a lot of this, I believe, is cultural. And that is, we are continuing with each passing generation to raise victims, and nobody's responsible for their actions. That's what we sell kids in media. We sell it in politics. We sell it on social media. Nothing is ever your fault.
Exactly. And what you're saying is 100% true, but I think what needs to be addressed deeply, and it goes beyond what people really want to talk about, is what is actually really allowing it, almost to the point encouraging it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Wes. Appreciate you, my man. Tammy's in Shawnee. Tammy, go ahead. You're on KCMO.
Yeah, my kids have been out of school. They were in Shawnee Mission School District. They've been out of school almost 10 years now. But when they were in high school, this thing called ISS, in-school suspension, and it probably still is a big thing. And when I found out that one of my kids was going to be in ISS, I called the school and I said, absolutely not. They will be in Saturday school. Because ISS, all it does is pull these kids out of the classroom, and they sit in a room all day, and it's not a consequence.
I was going to say, that sounds pretty good for a lot of kids, right?
Exactly.
It's like a full day lunch.
Yep. So, that's one thing. Like, when you go to Saturday school, that's more painful. You got to get up on a Saturday at 7 a.m., and you spend at least half a day sitting there in school.
Yeah. That's a great point. Do they still, I imagine they still have it.
I assume they do. Like I said, my kids have been out about 10 years now, but I'm sure they still have it.
Wow. Good stuff. Thank you very much there, Tammy. Let's go to Walter. He's in Spring Hill. Walter, go ahead. You're on KCMO.
It's funny you guys are talking about this because my wife is a retired teacher from Raytown, and she had a reputation because she would let those kids know, the hooligans that were starting troubles. She would let them know under no uncertain terms that she will not tolerate any kind of assault or anything. And if you were to even act like you're going to assault her, be ready. I'm not going to give you a timeout. I'm going to knock you out. And she let the district know under no uncertain terms that she will not tolerate being assaulted. And if they did not back her, there would be legal ramifications, because she had a friend that was an attorney. And
what's it say that a teacher has to say in this school district in particular, Raytown? I am not willing to be assaulted.
Well, it starts at home, and sometimes during parent-teacher conferences, when she would have conferences with these kids that are acting fools, she would kind of like use a reverse psychology and say, little Johnny did this, and I'm sure you do not allow him to act like that at home.
Yeah.
And of course, no parent's going to say, oh yeah, we let him act a fool like this all the time.
Yeah.
So a lot of times she would do that, and it kept the problems down.
That's good stuff. That Walter, thank you, buddy. Very well done. Appreciate that. I mean, listen, it all starts at home. No doubt about it.